Which is faster, a brand new Honda CRF450 or a brand new Honda 500cc two-stroke? This is a fight that I've always wanted to see happen, and thanks to a mad genius down in Italy who's created this beauty, we're finally able to make the ultimate Honda shootout a reality. But will the big boar take the win today? Let's find out. Are you team two-stroke or team four-stroke? Let us know your allegiance in the comments down below. As always, a huge thank you goes to our channel sponsors, and also a big shout out goes to our Patreon members. You can check out our Patreon, there's a link in the description down below. You can join the team and get some cool perks in return, like getting your name in the credits of every one of our videos. Yes, you heard me right. This genuinely is a brand new 2024 500cc Honda two-stroke. It's called the T500 and it's been created by an Italian company called Tomasin R&D. Basically, it's a plug-and-play 500cc conversion kit for the CRF450s from 2021 onwards. So in short, it turns your CRF450 four-stroke into a fire-breathing 500cc monster without having to modify the frame in any way whatsoever, whilst keeping the modern tech like the electric start, traction control and launch control. If you're a subscriber, you might recognise this machine from a video we did at the end of last year. Over in Italy, we saw the T500 in action at the Trans-Megaro race. Beda Mane was behind the bars that day and he put in a great ride on board this machine against some fierce competition. As you can see, she's a real beauty, but the T500 might have her hands full today. The Honda CRF450 needs no introduction. Honda are back on top at the moment, with Jet Lawrence ruling the roost over in America and Tim Geiser doing his thing here in Europe. So I think it's safe to say that the CRF450 is the king of the class at the moment. So we think that this is the perfect machine to put head to head against the T500 two-stroke. Our chief test pilot Sean Smith is going to spin laps on both machines today to see how they differ. But Sean isn't our only rider here today. We've also got Tim Clark on board to spin some laps as well. These are both Tim's bikes. He's the owner over at the Motocross Workshops and the official UK dealer for the T500 for 2024. We'll hear a bit more from Tim a little later on in the video, but for now, Sean's going to hit the track on board the 450 first to see what he thinks. So typically Sean isn't a 450 rider, he prefers to ride a 250 or a 350. So it'll be interesting to see how he finds this Honda 450. The last 450 he rode was a KTM. So like I said, it will be super interesting to hear his thoughts on this machine. At the moment, you've got to consider the CRF 450 to be the king of the class. We're here at Buttercup Farm MX today in Cambridgeshire. As you can see, the track is in awesome condition, which is amazing because the weather has been playing havoc with the UK motocross scene lately. So the crew at Buttercup Farm have done an awesome job to get this track prepped for us here today. So Sean's getting towards the end of his session on the 450, and it looks like he's been having some fun out there on the big old four-banger.
reaction? You've not ridden a 450 for a while. How good are the modern 450s?
Not a Honda 450. I was impressed with it, yeah. It's ever so powerful. It's I think, from the last one I rode, which was with KTM, way more aggressive, more power. It's a bit of a handful really, but enjoyable. You know, they're very well balanced Hondas, so, you know, they make me feel at home, basically. But yeah, very impressed. I still won't have one though.
So before Sean hops on board the T500, let's find out a little more about this bike and what it's like to own it. So I'm here with Mr. Tim Clark from Motocross Workshops, proud owner of the T500 here. Now Tim, I know a little bit about this bike. I've seen it in action in Italy actually. And I've talked to Enrico Tomasin himself a couple of times as well about the project. But you're the first guy that I know that's actually had one delivered, and you guys built this up yourself. So tell us a little bit about the bike. What is it and what was it like taking delivery and put it together? How easy was that process?
Surprisingly simple process, to be fair. Obviously we had the donor motorcycle to start with, which is a 2022 CRF450. So we just take the engine out of the bike and sit there with the frame ready to accept it. The crate arrives from Italy and literally everything you need is inside the crate.
And it's very nicely presented, isn't it?
Oh, it's a lovely setup, and I've put some nice pictures up for that. I've always described to people that when you buy aftermarket parts, there's always a little bit of fettling, a little bit of movement required to get things to fit. Sometimes with this, there was absolutely nothing to adjust. Everything fit perfectly, everything looked great, was finished to the highest standard, and all we have to do then, quite simply, is split the 450 engine, the donor bike, take the gearbox, the clutch, the starter motor and the internal gubbins out, and then with the new engine that arrives, you take that apart in the same way, split it in half, and then you install the gearbox, their crank, their cylinder, their head, their piston, everything, put it back together. And once it's back together, you then install the outer cases from the CRF450, from the donor package, and that builds up the clutch and the flywheel. You put a flywheel weight on it, then you build the cylinder, and you have to build the engine before you put it in the motorcycle because there's literally no room. Yeah. You get it inside, everything fits where it should do, a real joy.
No modifications.
Zero modifications to the frame, yeah. And we love the fact that it's completely reversible. Yeah. Not that you wouldn't want it, but if you decided, do you know what? I actually want to go back to my 450 for whatever reason, it's completely reversible. No modifications to any part of the motorcycle at all, which I think is fantastic.
It is genius really what they've been able to do. And you're not just an owner of the bike, but you're UK importer, is that the right?
Yeah, we're, for this year, for 2024, we're the exclusive dealers for Tomasin R&D. I've got a back history with 500cc two-strokes a lot of years ago, and you don't realise how quickly that time goes. And to be back on board a 500 and something so iconic as this project, we're really proud to be associated with them. And they're doing a fantastic job. We think it's going to be a fantastic opportunity to bring it to the UK.
So anyone in the UK, you're the guy to talk to, you can get them easily. You've got the connection with the Tomasin guys, and you can do the complete package for that.
Yeah, we can do engine kits with or without gearboxes. And when I say a gearbox, it's a CRF 450 gearbox. It's not a different gearbox. It's just fully complete. And then as regards to the whole bike, you can have a total bike from us, and they start at $14,995 plus the VAT. So it's a brand new motorcycle plus the engine kit and the installation, and wheel it away.
So you can literally rock into a showroom and walk out with a 2024 500 Honda.
100%.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Before we unleash the T500 on track, I just want to take this opportunity to tell you guys about our awesome sponsors, Putoline. Putoline have products to lubricate, clean and protect your motorcycles, such as the Dirt Bike Super Cleaner Pro that you can see us using here on our BMW G450X. The weather this winter in the UK has been atrocious, so it's been really difficult to keep our bikes looking fresh, but thanks to Putoline's Dirt Bike Super Cleaner Pro and the rest of their cleaning products, we've been able to keep our bikes looking good. As always, a huge thank you goes to Putoline for supporting the channel and helping us make videos like this one. So here he is, Sean is finally on circuit on board the T500 two-stroke monster from Tomasin R&D. Sit back and listen to the bike in action. Make sure you stay tuned until the end of the video to see the hot lap showdown and find out which of these two machines is fastest around Buttercup Farm MX here today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. We've got loads of cool stuff planned for this year, so be sure to subscribe to not miss any of those future uploads.
Wow. Just a little bit. Yeah, did you see it? It was front end high. It's good back brake anyway. But yeah, it's an absolute beast. Absolute beast. So fun to ride though. This is what 500 motocross is all about for sure. Just absolutely phenomenal. I'm just speechless to be honest. It's just so good. It's just so good.
So before we get the stopwatch out for the hot laps, let me sit down with Sean and see if I can't get a few more words out of him. Sean, so you've just spent a few hours riding these two bikes back to back. Tell us your thoughts, give us some insights. What were you feeling out there?
So we start with the 450.
Start with the 450, yeah. That's the top of the pile of motocross at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
With,
it is.
Jet Lawrence, Tim
Yeah,
Geyser.
yeah.
This is the bike to have.
Yeah, it is, yeah. As you know from previous videos, then I'm not a 450 fan. Jumping on that. I mean, it's a very balanced bike. It's incredibly fast, powerful, too much for me. But in saying that, it was quite enjoyable. You know, there wasn't anything bad about it. As a racer for me, would I race a Honda 450? Probably not, because it was quick. Yeah, it felt quick compared to the other 450s I've rode. I suppose if you got used to it, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
But
You ride usually KTMs, right?
yeah, I do. Yeah, and they sort of have more of a linear power, like a bit smoother. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit more, I'd say, usable. Even though that had usable power, it was aggression.
Yeah,
power.
hard hit.
Yeah. So it took quite a bit of holding on to and stuff. But
I mean, you didn't look like you was ragged or riding on the edge on it. You look really smooth on it.
Yeah. Everybody knows, you know, Honda builds. They do build a good bike. There's no doubt about it.
Jumping on the T500 for the first time today. It's been a while since you rode a CR500. You did that on the channel a couple of years ago, but initial reactions to riding that bike and then comparing it to the 450.
So jumping on the 500, funnily enough, like even though they are the same chassis, they're the same bike. You know, it's just got this 500 motor slipped into it. It felt smaller, and I think it felt smaller because it felt lighter. So instantly, you know, I felt comfortable on it straight away, and I think that has a lot to do with Tim's setup, the way he's got the bike set up, because it felt very planted. I felt at home with it, and it doesn't have a balance shaft like other 500s, like the BRC. And I was thinking this thing's going to vibrate because that engine is built for a steel chassis, which has got a lot of flex in it, and these are aluminium chassis. We know they're a lot stiffer. And I just thought that that's going to resonate through, and the vibration is going to be horrendous.
But it's not quite like the other alley frame CR500s out there. This is being designed by Tomasin for this usage.
And it wasn't the vibration. For me, I didn't feel any vibration. So it's a very, very well balanced bike. Jumping off the 450 onto the 500, you know, the characteristics are exactly the same, but it does feel lighter. I enjoyed it. It was just so balanced.
And obviously it's got all that tech on there as well.
Yeah.
How nice was it to have an electric start?
You know, and your maps and everything else.
Yeah, that's something you were playing with maps there as well. That's
yeah.
pretty cool to have on a 500.
Yeah, I mean,
Dave Thorpe didn't have that back in the day, did he?
You know, if they built 500 now, if Honda built a 500,
Yeah.
that would be it. That would be it. It's felt so modern. I know it is a modern chassis and all the rest of it, but it felt so modern, and it was enjoyable to ride.
Did it feel the same, or is it different? Is it a different beast to a CR500?
Yeah, I mean, there is an issue like the way it's fueling at the moment, which is obviously going to be rectified. So I don't think we felt the full benefit of.
Yeah, it's
what
still
that
in
bike
development,
could be.
isn't
Yeah.
it? Really.
I think once that gets gets fixed, it'll be awesome. I'm not saying it wasn't awesome. Do you know what I mean? It felt, like I say, very balanced. The power was very good. It wasn't too aggressive. It was just a well-balanced bike all the way through. Once the fueling part of it, because obviously that's been developed in Italy and now we're in England, so you know it's ambient temperature and all the rest of it, and sea level is going to change. So once the fueling, they've got that dialed in, and it's I think it'd be a very, very good bike. It's well worth the money.
I think we're actually below sea level here in the fens, aren't we?
I don't know.
Close to it anyway.
Yeah.
I thought coming into the day that it's going to be like a CR500 but with all the modern benefits.
Yeah.
I've talked to Dave Thorpe in the past, and he's told me that he doesn't ride CR500s anymore just because for the fact that he doesn't want to spend the day kickstarting one. I mean, that's got an electric start,
awesome,
and it just makes it so easy. So for like people that want that, it obviously looks the dog's danglies as well. So people want a cool looking bike, they want that reminiscent,
I can't
nostalgic CR500 feel, but with modern convenience. Is this the thing to get?
yeah, because I can't compare that. It's nothing like an old school 500. There's nothing like it. It's just so modern feeling, you know, and it's got all the trickery on it. Like I say, it's what if they were building a 500, that's what they would be building. I think he's nailed it. He really has.
So here we have Tim Clark on board the 454-stroke, the CRF450. As these are his bikes, Tim is going to be setting the hot laps for us here today. He's going out first on the 450 to set a base time. This will be the time to be on the T500, which is coming up next. So far, so good for Tim on the CRF450. Towards the end of his hot lap now, just a few more turns to go around Buttercup Farm MX on board the CRF 450. One more jump to go, here he goes. Up and over the finish line jump, that's a 2:09.43, that's the time to be. So it's the moment of truth for the T500 here today then. What is this monstrous two-stroke made of? Tim's laying down a hot lap on board the T500. And as Sean touched upon earlier, we do think that the timing and fueling on this machine here today at this track, in these conditions, in England, needed adjusting slightly, which is something that Tomasin R&D do offer. Is part of the package when you buy a T500, is a remote assistance, so they can adjust things like the fueling and the timing remotely from Italy after you've purchased the machine. And I'm sure that's something that Tim will be getting them to work on in the coming weeks to get this bike running just perfect. But let's see what lap time he was able to put in today on board the T500 with the bike running like this. One more jump to go, up and over the finish line. What's the time on the T500? It's a 2:12.42. So the T500 was a couple of seconds off today, but like we said, there's some fine tuning to be done to get this bike running absolutely perfectly for our conditions.
With modern bikes now, if you're not faster on a 4-stroke compared to something that's been developed like that, you know, there's something wrong. You're going to be quicker, you know, there's no doubt about it. But that's taking nothing away from that, because it is
still
such a balanced bike.
Okay, yeah, we've still got lots to do. It's a work in progress on the power, on the pipe, half throttle, full throttle. It's awesome. just off the bottom, it needs a little bit of time, a little bit of fettling, which they're working with us every single week. They're doing a great job with the remote assistance, and we will get it right, 100%. But we've literally only done 4 hours of riding on the motorcycle, so it's not like we've done 40 hours.
How many hours have you put on those over the years?
Stacks, absolutely stacks. And I disliked every minute of riding the 4-stroke today, even though I've been riding one now for 25 years. It felt so powerful. I didn't feel in control of the bike at all, and yet I felt more in control of this bike than I did that.
Well, actually, I think we'll
and I've only done
people,
4 hours on it.
And there's one thing is for sure, you said it earlier, that when you rock up to the track and you pull out either this bike or this bike, which one's going to turn more heads?
Mate, it's the sexiest 500 I've seen.
It's a good looking bike, isn't it?
We've been wheeling nice bikes out for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've had more people in the last 4 or 5 hours come up to us with this than I have in the last 4 or 5 years. Seriously, it's an amazing crowd puller.
It's definitely got the cool factor. It didn't grab the win today in the hot lap shootout, but
it got it in looks.
I think a lot of people watching will probably rather have one of these in a garage. Tim, thanks so much for your help today, bringing the bikes down, spinning some laps. Sean, as always, thank you very much. But as always, guys, my name is Max. You've been watching 999 Laser. Till next time, we'll see you at the track.